JetEngine recently released a new feature called Glossaries, and in this video I'll show you how you can start using them to speed up your workflow. I'll also demonstrate why they are such a useful feature. But first of all, what exactly are glossaries in JetEngine? Well, glossaries are a way of creating a list of entries for your select, checkbox or radio form options in the WordPress dashboard or in front-end forms. They can be used to quickly and easily pre-fill them out, and this helps to cut the time taken to make changes or addition to any of your glossary lists. If that sounds a little confusing, stick with me as all will become crystal clear by the time we finished the video. But before we start building them, let me quickly just introduce myself. My name is Paul C from WP Tuts, and I've teamed up with Crocoblock to create a series of tutorials on using dynamic jet plugins like JetEngine and JetSmart filters. Okay, so let's hop over now onto my test website and I'll show you how you can get started with JetEngine's glossaries. So once you've gone ahead and installed and activated JetEngine, the next thing we need to do is hop over into JetEngine itself, open the settings up, and inside there we're going to have a new entry called glossaries. Now I've already gone ahead and created a couple, but I'm going to show you how you can use this for yourself. All we need to do is select glossaries, and you can see there's some of the previous ones that I've created. Let's add a new one in. So we say new glossary, and this time we're going to call this agent position. And this is just going to be the position inside the business that the agent actually occupies. We can use this in a couple of different ways then. We can use it inside the dashboard of WordPress in a normal way. It becomes a selectable area. We can also use it if we want to with front-end forms. So if you allow agents to register on the front end of your website and you set up the form using JetEngine, what we can do is we can use those glossaries inside that form. Now I will show you that as part of this tutorial. Before we do, let's just create our first set of glossaries. And now all we need to do is go ahead and start inserting the fields. So let's open up a new field. This gives us three different options: the field value, the label, and if it's selected by default. So all we need to do is put in the value we want to use, the label we want to use, and then check this. Now generally you'd only have this set to be one item. So this could be something that you want to be the default value. You can check that and use it. Or you could leave it off and let people select whatever they want from the listing. So our first role is going to be a sales agent. So we're going to drop that in for the field value, and we're going to also drop that in for the field label. Now, if you're wondering what the difference is, the field value is what will be inserted into the database, and you could use this to do things like filter against and things like that. So you may have differing values inside there to what your field label, what you would see inside the select list or so on, what you'd have inside there. So it's up to you if you want to put different values inside here. This is the kind of front-facing way that the user will be seeing on the website itself. We're going to leave the is checked off. We're not going to use that in this example. Once we've done what we want in the first one, we're going to say add a new field. We're going to add our second role in, new field again, add our third role in, and we're going to do it one more time for our final senior position, which is going to be our senior sales negotiator. Sounds really cool and probably highly paid. Okay, so there's our entries. So we got 4. What we're going to do now is we're going to click on save. Now the beauty of this is we can come back at any point and add extra values inside here, and then everywhere that references this glossary will have that extra value inserted. Also, if you make a mistake in any of this, or you just want to simply change a value, then you can do that as well, and obviously everywhere would reflect that uses this glossary. So it's a real time saver when you're working with lots and lots of common listings. So really good to see that. And that's the first thing done. We've now created our first glossary, and you can create as many of these as you want to. Now that we've seen how easy it is to add glossaries, let's put things into practice by adding our new glossary to an existing post type. So use my previously created post type. It's all set up for my agent. As you can see, there are quite a few different fields. Let's go ahead and add our new glossary field in. New metafield, and from there we're going to give this a label. So we're going to call this agent position. Name ID, that's perfectly fine. We're going to leave the object type as field, and we're going to set the field type in this example to be the option for select. Then that opens up the get options from the glossary. Now you don't have to use this. You can still go through the same process of adding in your field options totally manually, but obviously glossaries just make the process a lot quicker and easier, especially when you use these in multiple different locations. So we're going to select the option to say get options from glossary. That now allows us to choose what glossary we want to use. So if you have multiple, you simply select the one that you want. So we're going to open this up, choose the agent position, and select that. Now if you want to drop a placeholder in, for example, select, and then we put a couple of dots in. That's going to put a placeholder text inside there. Do you want to allow people to choose multiple values? Well, you can set that if you want to. In this example, we don't. We simply want to keep it to one individual value to have one position. We're going to update our post, and that's now added that into our custom post. So let's see that in action. Let's head over into our agent section, and let's open up one of our existing agents. So let's open up Brittany Watkins listing. And if we scroll through now, we find we've got a new entry inside there called agent position. You can see our placeholder of select is inserted inside there. And if we click to expand this, we now have all of these agent positions. So that's how easy it is. And this is where the benefit comes in. Let's just hop back out of this. Let's go back into JetEngine, and let's open up our glossary again. And let's add a new item inside here. So open up agent position, and let's add a new entry. Let's just put a position of client manager. I have no idea if you'd have client managers, but hey, it looks good. Let's just save this, and we'll just hop back over to our agents. We'll open up the entry for Brittany again, and let's scroll down until we find that position. And you can see there's our client manager inserted into our listing in our glossary, all done in one simple location. So this is one really simple example of how we can use it, but we can use it in so many other places. Okay, so let's just quickly set the positions for our different agents. So this person is going to be a senior sales negotiator. We'll update that listing, and we'll simply pop back and take a look at Samuel Palmer, and we'll give him a position as well. This person is going to be a senior sales agent. There we go. So we've now applied that. Next on the to-do list is showing our new glossaries on the front end of our website. Now stick with this part, as there are some important topics covered that may trip you up if you don't know what you're doing. Now for agent role positions, we can deal with this in pretty much the same way as we do with most dynamic tags. So what we're going to do is we're going to just come over to the options to select, and we're going to type in dynamic, and we're going to find the dynamic field. We'll drop that underneath Brittany's name, and you can see that pulls in the default data. We need to change that from the source to metadata because it's one of our custom metafields, not a standard WordPress field. And then we can just simply choose what metafield we want to reference. So we'll just select this, and all of our metafields for everything are inside here. So there's our agent position. We'll select that, and you can see that drops in the right details, which in this example is really, really easy to do because there's only one entry and you can only select one entry. However, if you have something where you can have multiple selections, for example, you might have the areas that a particular agent covers, that doesn't work the way you expect it to. If we do, we'll have an error. And let me show you. I've created some other glossaries, and one of those is the areas covered, and it's exactly the same as what I've already shown you. The only difference is you can select multiple different entries. Now, let me just show you what happens if we use that. I'm simply going to duplicate this, and we're going to change the reference for this. So we're going to change this from agent position, and we're going to just choose the option for service areas. And you can see we now get an error. And the error basically comes in because it doesn't know what to do because we've got an array, in other words, multiple different values selected. So we need to change this, and thankfully JetEngine makes this super easy. With that selected, we're going to scroll down until we get the bottom where it says filter field output. We're going to select that option, and then we've got the option for callback. Now you might get a bit confused with this, but honestly it's very, very straightforward. If we open this up, we can choose how we want to sort of control the data. Now, unfortunately, you can't see this because it's kind of falling off the bottom, but the very, very last option is get labels from glossary data. We'll select that, and that now still gives us the error because we need to tell it what glossary we're actually referencing here. So all we need to do is select the relevant glossary. In this example, we want the agent service areas. And bang, you can see that now shows up exactly what we expect because multiple values are selected. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and change the delimiter between these. So you could put something, I don't know, like a pipe, for example, or you could have a dash, you could have whatever you kind of want, and put spaces either side of that to give us some space. And you can see, really, really easy to do. But like I say, if you run into problems outputting the data that you want because you've got multiple values selected or selectable, you just need to set this up inside the filter field output options, and that will display the data perfectly like you can see in this example. Now we can update this, and because we're editing a template, all of our different agents will be displayed and cover all the new data we've added into there. Now, before we move on, let me just give you one more example of how you can use this. We've seen the simple use case where everything is set up nice and neat. We've also taken a look at if we have multiple select options. But this time, let's just say we're going to be using field values that have maybe, for example, a code, or they're not particularly the nicest looking value, but we want the label to display what we want to see on the front end. Now, by default, that doesn't happen. So what I've done is I've quickly gone into our agent positions and I've changed all of the field values to an abbreviated version. So you can see SN for sales negotiator, SSN for senior sales negotiator, and so on. I've also gone ahead and changed that on the actual agent details. So we hop over, you can see Brittany is now an SSN and Samuel is an SSA, which for anybody in the front end will make no sense whatsoever. So we can use the same principle again. Let's hop back into JetEngine and let's open up our template. So here's our listing template and you can see it currently says SSN. So let's just quickly rectify that. We'll select it and we'll do the same as we did before. We'll scroll down until we find the filter field output. We'll choose this option and we'll select the callback. And again, you can't see this unfortunately because it's right at the bottom. And we say get labels from glossary data and then just simply choose the glossary we want to use. So we're going to select the agent position and you can see now the senior sales negotiator comes back. We're basically telling it we want to use the label. We don't want to use what's going to be basically inserted into the database. Now, I hope that makes sense. I hope it's shown you a couple of different ways in which you can use this feature and when you need to use it and when you can kind of not worry about it. But I'm going to set everything back to what it was before now and we'll carry on. So let's just quickly tidy this up to make it look a little bit neater. Let's just drop in some negative margins on there just to push that up a little bit. And we'll set that 25 and we're going to put the information inside here. So we're going to drop down and we're going to select customize field output and we're just going to drop in areas covered just so it makes a little sense. And if you want to, you can drop additional styling inside there as well. But you can see now this is really easy. We can update this and let's hop over and take a look at this on the front end and we can see how all of our different agents have their relevant details now displayed. And there we go. You can see there's their data, the areas covered, and their position inside the company. So really easy to do. And hopefully that's shown you that if you are selecting multiple options, how you can deal with that so you don't throw an error on the front end of your site. We know building forms is a little time consuming, but glossaries help reduce the time and friction. And in this section, I'll show you how to harness the time-saving benefits of glossaries. So this is an example of our new agent submission form. So as you can see, everything is inside here for license, tax, service area, specialities, and so on. But we don't have our new field for their role. So we're going to go ahead and add that into our form. Now, before we do, the service areas and specialities are also using the glossaries. But as you can see, these are allowing us to select multiple different entries at the same time, which I've just shown you how to output. So they work in very much the same way and we select those in the same way. We just choose they can have a different format to be output from. In other words, these are just basically using a checkbox option. And I'll show you that in a moment on the form itself. But we're also going to use the select option, which allows us to use one option from a list. So let me just show you those. Let's hop back into our forms and let's open up, for example, in this case, our option for, where's it gone? Agent specialities. Let's edit that. And you see, this is just using the option for checkboxes. That's the only difference. Checkboxes allow you to check multiple different items. So that's the only thing that's different. Now, let's go ahead and add in what we need for our position, agent position. So we're going to add a new field in. We'll position that where we want. So we'll drop that underneath the specialities and so on, and we'll edit that. Type, we're going to set this to be select. And there we go. Going to give this a field name, and we're just going to call this agent underscore position. I'm going to give it a label of agent position as well. You can add any descriptions and things like that in, and you can still use the options for manual input. So you can mix and match glossaries with normal ways of inserting data into your forms. However, for this example, we want to choose glossary. Once we choose that, as we've seen before, we just need to choose the glossary we want to reference. So we're going to select that, choose agent position, and that's basically all we need to do. We come down now and we're going to go into our insert and update. So we're going to apply changes first of all to save those, and we're going to come in and edit our insert update option, and we need to add in our new fields. You can see there's our agent position. So we're going to select post meta. Unfortunately, you can't see that on here. And now we need to go ahead and drop in the actual label for this meta field. Now, it's an easy way to find that. We're simply going to open up our edit post for our agent. And if we scroll down to our agent position, you can see there's the name and it's agent-position. So we're going to simply copy that from there to make sure we don't make any mistakes, and then just drop that into the field. So we're going to paste that inside there, and that's that side of things done. We'll hit apply changes, and then we'll scroll back up and we'll update our form. Now open up our new agent submission form page, and we'll refresh this. And then we scroll down and we see we have the agent position option and we can choose from any of those using our glossary. It is that simple, but you can see it speeds up the whole process considerably, not having to use this, input it manually every single time for your forms, for your front end, for your back end, all those kinds of things. So glossaries are going to make your life a lot quicker and a lot easier. Now, we haven't touched a point in this video. You can also benefit from using glossaries as part of Jet Smart filters. So there's another added benefit to using these. You should now have a pretty solid understanding of how JetEngine's glossaries work and how you can easily add them into your workflow and make some considerable time savings. Now, if you found this video useful, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future tutorials for Crocoblock. All the applicable links are included below, and if you have any comments, questions or feedback, please pop those in the comment section below. My name is Paul C, and until next time, take care.